The Galactic Council Hall was never silent, it was always filled with voices, arguments, and the loud pride of many species. But on this day, everything stopped, the lights dimmed, the air froze, and every pair of eyes turned toward the center of the chamber. A single message was displayed in bright red letters, and no one could believe it. Earth is ending all diplomatic ties with the Galactic Council. No reason, no explanation, no warning, only this one sentence. The hall remained silent for a long moment, then panic spread like fire. Ambassadors shouted questions, some screamed in fear, and others tried to contact their human counterparts. But every channel remained dead, every signal unanswered, as if humanity had vanished. Counselor Kirill of the Vora species was the first to speak. His voice trembled as he said, "Humans do not walk away without purpose." Everyone knew it was true. Humanity had been one of the strongest, fastest growing, and most unpredictable members of the Council. When they joined, the galaxy feared their potential, but they also respected their power. Now that power had turned its back on all of them. Captain Rylos of the Kaldar fleet stood near the back of the chamber, watching quietly. He always believed humans were dangerous, but he also admired them. Now he felt something new, something heavy and cold. It was fear, not fear of being attacked, but fear of what humans were preparing for. He left the hall without a word, walking through the bright corridors of the council tower. Outside the giant windows, he saw human ships leaving their embassies. Each ship moved in perfect formation, engines glowing softly. They did not run, they did not rush, they simply left, calm and silent, as if they had already decided everything. Aliens panicked across the station. Some tried to block the human ships, but the ships ignored them. The humans did not fire any weapons. However, everyone felt that if someone made a wrong move, the humans could destroy half the station without effort. That quiet confidence made them even more terrifying. Rylos opened a communication channel to the human fleet. There was no reply. He tried again, nothing. Finally, a single message came through. It was cold, short, and final. "Stand down, Kaldar vessel, this is not your concern." Rylos felt his scales tighten. Humans had never spoken like this before. They used to be warm, friendly, sometimes too friendly, but this message felt like a steel wall. He wondered what pushed them to this point. Across the galaxy, news spread faster than light. Every major species held emergency meetings. Some believed humans were preparing for war. Others believed Earth had discovered something dangerous. A few believed humans simply had enough of the politics, corruption, and endless arguments inside the council. Everyone had a theory, but no one had answers. Meanwhile, in deep space, human colonies shut their borders. Ships patrolling near human territory reported seeing large structures moving inside nebulae. Some said they looked like giant black stations. Others believed they were new human warships. But none of these reports were confirmed. The humans did not explain anything. The fear was not only because humans walked away, it was because they walked away quietly. Silence from a powerful species was worse than open threats. Silence meant planning, silence meant preparation, silence meant danger. Back in the council tower, the ambassadors finally restored order. The council high speaker, a tall crystalline being named Farian, stood before everyone and said, "We must understand why Earth has taken this action." But her calm voice could not stop the rising panic. Many species had fought humans in the past and lost badly. They knew the cost of angering Earth. Captain Rylos realized something else. Humans leaving the council did not feel like anger. It felt like sadness, disappointment, and a final decision made long ago. He remembered meeting a human diplomat named Arya Stone. She once said, "Humans try to help, but if we see no future in a place we walk away." Now he wondered if this is what she meant. Rylos returned to the observation deck, staring into space. Human space was dark and empty. No signals, no lights, no movement. It felt like a giant beast had curled up and gone silent, waiting for the right moment to strike, or perhaps the right moment to protect. Because deep inside, Rylos believed something else. Humans were not running from the galaxy, they were running towards something, a threat, a danger, something the council did not know about, something humans decided to face alone. His thoughts were interrupted when a nearby sensor alarm beeped softly. A faint energy signature appeared on the edge of human territory. It was huge, larger than any known ship, but impossible to identify. Before he could alert anyone, the signal vanished as if the thing had never existed. Rylos felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever humans were preparing for, it was already here. And the galaxy had no idea. The storms of panic inside the Galactic Council did not calm the next day. In fact, they grew stronger. Reports from the outer sectors arrived one after another, and every report carried fear. Something strange was happening near human borders, something no one could identify. In the observation wing of the council tower, Captain Rylos stood in front of a massive hologram. A star map flickered with red dots. Each dot represented a missing ship. At first, the disappearances were ignored. A few small scout ships vanished now and then. Space is dangerous, But now the number was growing fast, 10 ships, 15, then 20, all gone near human territory. Rylos spoke quietly to himself. What are the humans doing? Behind him, Counselor Kirill approached with slow, heavy steps. His voice was cautious. The council fears humans may be testing new weapons. Rylos shook his head. Humans do not test weapons on random ships. Kirill sighed. Maybe not before, but now everything is different. Before Rylos could reply, the map flickered again. A new signal appeared on the edge of human space. It was massive, too large to be a regular ship. The outline was only visible for a second before the map lost the reading. The system could not identify the object. It was like the signal didn't exist at all. Kirill stepped back, fear showing in his eyes. What was that? Rylos whispered. Something old, something powerful, or something human? Rumors spread across the galaxy faster than the council could control. Some species said humans were building a superweapon. Others claimed humans had awakened an ancient machine. The worst rumor came from the outer colonies. Some believed humans were contacting a creature older than all known life. None of these stories were confirmed, but fear turned every whisper into truth. Hundreds of alien scientists tried to reach Earth. They sent messages, warnings, pleas, and even threats. But no message received a response. It was as if humanity had raised an invisible wall around their entire region of space. A wall no one could see but everyone could feel. Inside the council war room, the debate reached its breaking point. The large circular table was filled with representatives of every major species. Some slammed their hands in anger, some shouted, and some trembled in silence. Humans are preparing for war, one ambassador cried. Humans are hiding something dangerous, another shouted. Humans abandoned us because we failed them, a third whispered. Farian, the High Speaker, tried to calm the chaos. We must not act in fear. But fear was already in the hearts of every leader. Every species had a history with humans, and many still carried scars. Humans were strong, fast learners, creative in ways that scared the galaxy. They had risen from a small, ignored species to a power that even ancient civilizations respected. Now that power was silent, and silence was terrifying. Meanwhile, in deep space, a lone scout ship approached the forbidden border of human territory. Lieutenant Vero of the Lyran Alliance was brave, maybe too brave. His ship drifted carefully toward a faint signal they detected hours earlier. It was the same giant unknown object others had seen. Vero activated his scanners. This thing is huge, he whispered. But why can't we get a clear reading? The ship moved closer. But before the scanners could identify anything, the entire signal vanished, not slowly, not fading. It blinked out instantly, like a candle crushed by a giant hand. Vero felt his heart jump. Then he saw something. A shadow moved deep inside the nebula. It was big, impossibly big for a moment. Its outline reflected the nebula's light. Vero's eyes widened. Is that a ship? He whispered. Or a station? Before he could decide, the shadow turned toward him. The ship's alarm screamed. Unknown energy source detected. Vero tried to pull away, but it was too late. His ship shook violently, the lights flickered. Then everything went dark. His last thought was a single question. Are the humans controlling it? When the Lyran Alliance realized Vero's ship was missing, they sent a distress call to the council. Fear now turned into pure terror. Something was happening near human space and no one knew what it was. Back on the council station, Captain Rylos stood alone on the observation deck again, staring into the dark void. The stars looked peaceful, but he knew peace was an illusion. He remembered the silent message the humans sent him earlier. Stand down, this is not your concern. But what did that mean? Why wasn't it the galaxy's concern? Suddenly, the sensors on the station picked up a weak signal. Rylos rushed to the screen. The data came from an old human outpost near the border. It had been abandoned years ago, so why was there activity now? A single file played automatically. It was a damaged recording, static-filled and shaking. A human voice spoke, tired and weak. They are coming, the voice whispered. We cannot hold them back alone. Then the recording ended, the message was gone, but the fear it left behind stayed like a shadow. Rylos stared at the dead screen, his heart pounding. Humans didn't cut ties out of anger, they cut ties because something terrible was approaching. And the galaxy was already too late to prepare. Captain Rylos could not forget the broken human message. The words kept repeating in his mind. They are coming, we cannot hold them back alone. It felt like a warning from a dying world, a message not meant for the council but for anyone who was brave enough to listen. He needed answers and he knew where to find them. There was an abandoned human research outpost near the border, one that humans deserted years ago after joining the council. It was called Outpost Arclight, a silent, forgotten station drifting in empty space. If humans had left clues behind, they would be there. Rylos made his decision. He would go alone. He took a small Kaldar scout ship and left the council station quietly, avoiding attention. He did not trust the council to stay calm if they learned what he was doing. Fear made leaders foolish, and the galaxy was drowning in fear. Hours later, his ship reached the edges of human territory. The border felt unusual, as if space itself held its breath. No signals, no lights, no movement, only dark silence, the kind of silence that warned travelers to turn back. But Rylos continued. Outpost Arclight looked dead. The station floated in the shadow of a blue star, its hull cracked, lights dim, no signs of life. Rylos docked his ship and entered through an emergency hatch. The doors groaned like they had not been touched for years, dust floated in the air, and the halls were cold and empty. He activated a lantern on his suit, guiding his way down the long metal corridors. Everything felt abandoned, yet strangely peaceful. Old human posters hung on the walls, showing smiling scientists and exploration slogans. It was hard to believe these same humans were now silent and isolated. Rylos reached the main control chamber. The computers flickered weakly with dying power. He brushed dust off a console and activated it. The screen lit up with a cracked display, showing corrupted files and broken logs. Most data was unreadable, but one folder caught his eye. Nightfall Protocol. His blood ran cold. He had heard rumors about this project long ago. Some believed it was a weapon, others believed it was a defensive shield. Humans never explained what it really was. They said only one thing about it. Nightfall is for threats we cannot speak of. Rylos opened the file. More corrupted data appeared, but some pieces were readable. He saw images of strange structures inside nebulae, giant towers floating in darkness. He saw human soldiers standing in fear before something massive hidden behind smoke. He saw maps of star systems marked with red X symbols. Entire sectors were crossed out, showing total destruction. Then came the recordings. The first one showed a human scientist speaking quickly, her voice filled with panic. They are returning, she said. Just like the ancient records warned us, they destroyed everything in their path. They do not communicate, they do not stop. Another recording loaded automatically. It was older. The screen shook violently, explosions echoing in the background. A male voice shouted, Nightfall is active, but it will not be enough. We need more time, tell the council. The voice was cut off by a loud roar, something not human, something deep and monstrous. Rylos stepped back. His heart was racing. This was no human weapon test. This was something worse, something humans feared so much they didn't even tell the council. Humans had been preparing for this alone, carrying the burden in silence. He scrolled deeper into the file until a final video started playing. The screen was dark at first, then the image appeared. Rylos saw a massive creature drifting through space, its body made of metal and bone, its eyes glowing like dying stars. It moved with purpose, as if hunting. Behind it were dozens more, each one different and terrifying. A human voice whispered over the recording. They are called the Eternals, the first enemy of the galaxy, the destroyers of ancient worlds. They come from the void outside the known universe. Rylos felt his legs weaken. The Eternals were not a myth, they were real, and they were coming back. The humans had discovered them long before anyone else, and instead of causing panic, they chose to walk away from the council and prepare alone. Suddenly the station lights flickered. A loud metallic sound echoed through the halls. Rylos froze. Someone else was on the station or something. He reached for his weapon and slowly moved into the corridor. His lantern shook in his hand. A shadow moved at the end of the hall, large and heavy. For a moment he feared it was an Eternal, but then he heard footsteps, familiar ones. A human woman walked out of the darkness. Her suit was battered, her face tired. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Rylos recognized her immediately. Arya Stone, the human diplomat who once believed deeply in the council. She stared at Rylos with cold, exhausted eyes. You should not be here, she said, her voice almost a whisper. Rylos lowered his weapon. Arya, what is happening? Why did humanity leave? She shook her head slowly, because the council was not ready for the truth. Rylos stepped closer. What truth? Arya looked at the dark screen behind him, her eyes full of fear. The Eternals have awakened, she said, and humanity is the only one prepared to face them. A deep vibration shook the entire station. Arya looked toward the window. They found us, she whispered. And then the stars outside began to darken. The lights inside Outpost Arclight flickered as the vibration grew stronger. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the old metal walls groaned like they were being crushed by an invisible force. Rylos stepped closer to the window, his heart pounding. Outside the cracked glass, the stars were dimming, swallowed by a giant shadow moving across the void. Arya Stone grabbed his arm, her voice sharp. We need to leave now. Rylos stared at the dark shape. Is that one of them? Arya nodded with a tired, grim expression. An eternal scout. If it finds us, we won't survive. She pulled him toward the docking bay. Their footsteps echoed through the empty halls as the station trembled again. A deep rumble passed through the floor, as if something massive scraped against the outer hull. The air grew colder, like the shadow outside was draining the heat from the station itself. They reached the docking platform just as another loud metallic crack rang out. Rylos could feel the pressure building around them. Arya pushed him toward his small ship. "Get inside," she ordered. "I'll send coordinates, follow my ship." Rylos hesitated. "Your people didn't tell the council because you thought we would panic." Arya stopped for a moment, her face showing pain. "No, Rylos, humans stayed silent because we knew the council would argue, debate, and do nothing." A sharp, piercing vibration shook the platform as a massive claw-like shape scraped past the station's windows. Rylos felt the hairs on his neck rise. The Eternal was close, too close. Arya continued speaking as she entered her own craft. "Humans prepared alone because we had no other choice. We knew they were coming back. We found signs long ago." "Signs?" Rylos asked, climbing into his ship. "Where?" Arya's voice came through his communicator, heavy with regret. "On dead worlds that the council said were destroyed by natural causes." Her ship launched first. Rylos followed, the docking bay opened, and both ships shot into the cold darkness of space. Just as they cleared the station, the full shape of the Eternal Scout came into view. Rylos felt his breath catch. It was enormous, easily the size of a battleship. Its body twisted like bones wrapped in black metal. Its surface shimmered with strange runes glowing faintly in purple light. It had no engines, yet it moved like a predator gliding effortlessly through space. Its eyes, two burning orbs, turned slowly toward the escaping ships. Rylos whispered, "This thing, it looks alive." Arya responded, "It is alive but also not alive. They are built, grown, and born at the same time. They are the galaxy's first nightmare." The Eternal Scout opened a massive, glowing maw, energy building inside like a forming star. Rylos felt pure terror blast through him. His ship's warning system screamed, "Unknown weapon detected. Impact imminent." Arya's voice cut through the alarm, "Dive now." Both ships veered sharply as a beam of dark energy tore through the space they had just occupied. The beam missed the ships but struck Outpost Arclight. The abandoned station exploded in silence, turning into a cloud of metal and dust. Rylos stared at the destruction. "This is their scout," he whispered. "What does their main fleet look like?" Arya spoke with a steady but sad voice. "Exactly why we walked away from the council. Humans needed to prepare without politics slowing us down." In the distance, dozens of bright blue signatures appeared on Rylos' sensors. Human ships, sleek and sharp, emerged from the nebula like silent hunters. Their formation was perfect, their engines glowing softly, their presence filled the darkness with a calm, controlled power. Arya said, "Stay behind the fleet." The human ships moved without hesitation. A leading battleship, larger than anything Rylos had ever seen from humans before, positioned itself between the Eternal Scout and the smaller vessels. Its hull was black with silver lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. A low hum filled the comm channel. "Human fleet command to all vessels," a deep voice said, "Target locked." Before the Eternal could react, human ships unleashed their weapons. Blue starlances shot across space, slicing through the void like lightning. Gravity shards created storms around the Eternal, bending space until its movement slowed. Dark energy barriers shimmered around the humans, blocking the Eternal's counterattacks. Rylos watched in awe. Humans were not fighting like a normal fleet, they moved like a single organism, precise and deadly. He had seen humans in battle before but never like this. He realized they had been preparing for years, maybe decades, to face the Eternals. The Eternal Scout roared, a terrible sound that felt like mountains breaking. It tried to flee, but human ships surrounded it in a tight circle. A final command echoed through the fleet. "Nightfall, execute." A bright sphere of blue-white energy formed at the center of the formation. Expanding rapidly, it hit the Eternal Scout and crushed it into dust, leaving only silence behind. Rylos could not speak. Humanity had just destroyed a creature that should not exist. He understood now why the galaxy panicked, and why humans walked away. They were preparing for a war no one else believed in. Arya's voice came softly, "That was only a scout, Rylos." He turned toward her ship, trembling. "How many more are coming?" Arya answered with a voice filled with sorrow. "An entire army." Silence filled the space where the Eternal Scout had died. The dust from its broken body drifted across the void like dark snow. Rylos stared at the human fleet, still glowing with the fading light of nightfall. He felt small, smaller than he had ever felt before. Humans, the species the Council once treated like children, were now standing between the galaxy and extinction. Arya's ship floated beside his, her voice whispered through the communicator, calm but heavy. This was only the beginning. Rylos swallowed hard. How many are coming? Arya paused for a long moment before answering. Thousands, maybe more. The Eternals do not fight with small forces. They are a tide, an endless storm. Rylos felt a deep chill run through him. And your people plan to face them alone? Yes, Arya replied. We have to. The human fleet activated new signals, blue lights swirling in formation, preparing for a jump. Human ships no longer looked like machines, they looked like guardians, forged in fire and darkness, ready to die if needed. Rylos's voice shook. But why not ask the council for help? Arya answered with a sadness he could feel even through static. Because the council debates while worlds burn, because they fear the wrong things, because they would have slowed us down, and because they still do not understand the enemy. She continued, humans have seen what the Eternals leave behind, empty galaxies, hollow planets, star systems reduced to dust. We knew telling the council would cause panic, so we prepared alone. Her words cut through Rylos like a blade. He knew she was right. He had witnessed the council's endless arguing, their fear of losing power, their fear of humanity's rising strength. They would have wasted years discussing what humans already knew. A sudden alarm echoed across both ships. Multiple void signatures detected. Arya's tone sharpened. They are here. Rylos looked out into the void. The stars dimmed again, then one by one, dark shapes appeared. At first it seemed like shadows, but soon their massive forms became clear. Dozens of eternal war beasts drifted forward, each one larger than the scout. Their twisted metal bodies glowed with purple lines like veins pulsing with hungry energy. Their eyes were cold, ancient, and merciless. Rylos whispered, the council has no idea what is coming. Arya replied, they will learn, but too late. The human fleet moved immediately, no hesitation, no fear, only purpose. Their formations tightened, shields activated, and engines roared like thunder in space. A deep voice echoed across the fleet's channel. All vessels, prepare for engagement. Nightfall Phase 2 authorized. Rylos gasped, there's a Phase 2. Yes, Arya said softly, Nightfall was never meant to protect humanity, it was meant to protect the galaxy. The Eternals charged forward, their bodies shifting, forming strange weapon shapes. Beams of darkness launched toward the human ships. Some beams bent space itself, twisting reality like cloth, but humans held their ground. Their dark energy shields absorbed the attacks with violent ripples of blue light. The humans returned fire, star lances and gravity storms erupting from their ships. The void filled with flashes of violent light. Rylos watched in awe. Humans fought with bravery, unity, and precision beyond anything he had ever seen in the council fleets. They moved like warriors who had accepted their fate long before this battle began. But the Eternals were powerful, too powerful. Some human ships were damaged, shields flickering. The void roared with the clash of ancient power and human determination. Arya suddenly spoke. Rylos, your ship cannot survive this battle. Follow me, I'll take you to the command vessel. Rylos nodded, unable to refuse. They flew through the chaotic battlefield as explosions lit the dark space around them. A giant eternal beast lunged toward their ships, its jaws glowing with purple fire. Rylos braced for death. But a massive human dreadnought struck it with a blast so bright it looked like a newborn star. The eternal creature shattered into dust. Finally, Arya and Rylos entered the human flagship, a gigantic vessel humming with power. Inside, human officers worked with calm urgency. Every face showed exhaustion but also unbreakable resolve. Arya led Rylos to the command platform. The human admiral, an older man with steel-gray eyes, turned toward them. You brought a council officer here, he said, not angry, only tired. Arya nodded. He needs to know the truth. Rylos stepped forward. Admiral, why fight alone? The admiral looked at the battlefield outside, then answered, because humanity knows what the council does not. He pointed at the sea of eternal beasts. Those things do not negotiate, they do not surrender, they do not stop. He turned to Rylos, and because someone has to hold back the darkness even if no one thanks us. Rylos felt tears forming. He never understood humans until this moment. They were not angry, they were not prideful. They were simply carrying a burden too heavy for others to hold. As the battle raged, a deep, powerful hum filled the flagship. The admiral nodded to his officers. Nightfall core full power. A giant blue sphere formed beneath the ship, growing brighter and brighter. The Eternals sensed the danger and charged toward the flagship. Arya whispered, this is it. The Nightfall core exploded in a wave of blinding light, sweeping across the battlefield. The Eternals screamed, their bodies tearing apart, one by one dissolving into nothingness. The battle ended in silence. When the light faded, the human ships floated damaged but victorious. Humanity had saved the galaxy without asking for praise, without asking for thanks. Rylos looked at Arya with deep respect. The galaxy feared you too late. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. We never wanted fear, Rylos, we only wanted peace. And as Earth's fleet prepared for the next war coming in the shadows, the galaxy finally understood the truth. Humanity did not walk away. Humanity stood guard. Even when no one believed in them.